Good evening, everyone. Hello. Is this on? Yes, it is. Good evening, everyone. Can I have your attention, please? I should have brought my gavel. I always want my gavel when I don't have it. Thanks. I like to start on time. I know everybody was here for 6 o'clock, and we want to get going and hear from the candidates and then let everyone get home. Some of us have been working all day, and we would like to hear this and then go home. Put on my PJs. Thank you all for coming. My name is Suzanne Taylor. I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of the Space Coast. Thank you so much for coming out. We have a good problem in that we have more people than chairs, but some more chairs are coming in. So please just they'll make a little noise, but we'll do our best to get through the preliminaries while they're doing this. So thank you all for coming. This is really, we think this is really important that citizens talk to and listen to the candidates and hear what they have to say. A big part of the League of Women Voters, however, is civility. So we do candidate forums in a very particular way, and that is you all have access to cards and pencils and pens, and if you have a question, you write it down and just raise your hand up, and a League of Women Voters member will come and take it from you and bring it up to me. Before I get further started, I do want to let you know that we do have an event coming up called The Hidden Seduction of Dark Money. So if dark money is a concern to you, I hope that you're able to come out for this. It'll be at the Satellite Beach Library on Saturday, November 8th at 11 a.m. We have some really, really interesting speakers, a very wide variety of speakers. So we're really looking forward to that event. We have lots of other events too. So if you ever go on our website and look at our calendar, you'll see lots of different events to come and take a look at. So some of our general rules, we have a very specific way that we're going to handle this, and the moderator will explain how much time we have for everything in a moment. But I'd ask you to hold your applause. This is not a popularity contest. This is a forum for you to hear from the candidates. So no applause, please, until the very end. We will all applaud everybody at the same time. So I hope that you will agree with me that that's appropriate. Again, we're handwritten questions, so please no shouting out. If you don't agree with something somebody is saying, take it to the polls. You don't start a fight. Don't start an argument here, please. Please. So I'm going to introduce first, we have our timekeepers. We have Diane Conaway and we have Carolyn Howell from League of Women Voters members. And our moderator today is Michael Kemp. As I said, I'm Suzanne Taylor. I'm what I call Oz. I get the questions and I decide what questions are going to be asked next after some consultation, because Michael will be busy asking questions of the candidates, so I'm going to help him with that. So I do want to introduce, again, no applause, I'm just going to introduce the candidates. We have Dr. Terry Cronin. These are all in alphabetical order. Dr. Terry Cronin, Bruce Larson, Sherry Quarry, and Steve Walters are your 4 candidates for 2 seats, as you know, I'm sure, in the Melbourne Beach election. So at this time, I'm going to turn the podium, or the microphone, actually, not the podium, over to Michael Kemp.
Thank you. I'm Michael Kemp from the League of Women Voters of the Space Coast, and I'll tell you a little bit about how this forum works. Each candidate will be asked to give a 2-minute opening statement, and it's up to them to say whatever they wish to tell you about them and what they intend to do. They have 2 minutes. We'll start. The candidates are in alphabetical order. We'll start with Dr. Cronin, and we'll move in alphabetical order, and and then after that, we will start asking a series of questions, and these are questions primarily from the audience. We have a couple of our own, but mostly they're questions from the audience. A lot of these questions will be duplicated, and so Suzanne will put together the questions so that we aren't asking the question several times. And each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to that question. It's not very much time, but we want to get as many questions in as we possibly can. If there's a special circumstance, they can ask for a little more time, and it's up to me to decide whether that's appropriate or not, but we'd like to try to keep the responses to 1 minute. This is not a debate. This is a forum in which we are asking the candidates to give their views on these issues. So we're not trying to go back and forth between the candidates. But if anyone asks, we will consider rebuttal if necessary. Then each candidate at the end will have 1 minute to make a closing statement. In that case, we will go in reverse alphabetical order. When a question is asked, the first person to respond will be a person. It will rotate down the line so that the first response will be different each time, so that everyone will get a chance to respond first. And then that will be the program. We'll do as many questions as we can within an hour. Okay? All right. So here we go. We'll start with an opening statement from Dr. Cronin. Oh, excuse me, one more thing, is we have timekeepers here, and they will hold up a sign to give you an indication of where you are in your thing. And when she says...
Yes, here's all.
Right there.
Yes.
I saw the little flags.
Yes.
Okay, so what does it say? 1 minute, 20 seconds, or what? Stop.
All right. Thank you, Michael. You know, I was told that really this kind of event is very low, has low attendance, so I'm so happy to see so many people show up. I'm Terry Cronin. I'm running for Town Commission of Melbourne Beach because this is a wonderful place to live, and I want to keep it that way. I grew up in Melbourne Beach attending Gemini, Hoover, and Mel High. My wife, Ava, and I raised our 5 children here, and I've served you as a dermatologist at our family business, the Cronin Skin Cancer Center, treating thousands of local families and advocating globally for skin cancer prevention. I've served on the boards of many medical organizations, and I served on the board of the American Academy of Dermatology for 7 years and was elected president of the American Academy of Dermatology, where I served as their chairman of their board for its 22,000 plus physician members. Closer to home, my wife and I are active at Immaculate Conception Catholic Church, and I co-founded the Melbourne Independent Filmmakers Festival in 1999. We just had a very successful festival last weekend where we raised $15,000 for a local charity called the No Limits Academy, which is a school for severely disabled children. Our town faces a few challenges. Civility in our town government is really one of the biggest ones I'm running on. Stormwater infrastructure, supporting and maintaining our fire and police departments locally, and maintaining the charm of our community. As your commissioner, I'll work to prioritize our public and fire safety as well as our hurricane preparedness and preserve the unique character of Melbourne Beach while planning responsibly for our future. This election is about more than politics. It's about our home. With your support on November 4th, I'll work tirelessly to build a lasting legacy for Melbourne Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one, candidate will be Bruce Larson.
Thank you, Michael. Good evening, neighbors and friends of Melbourne Beach. I'm Bruce Larson, and my family has lived in town for over 50 years. Actually, fun fact, I grew up right across the street from Terry. After serving our country as a Navy SEAL and working in the private sector, I returned to the town where I grew up, looking forward to peaceful days by the ocean. I found what I was looking for, but also found something else. Our town, this beautiful, small, family-centered community, faces serious challenges. Weak leadership from past commissions, rising costs, and growing divisions have slowed progress to a crawl. To truly understand these challenges, I started listening. I began attending town meetings, asking questions, and talking with many of you on morning walks with my wife and at your doorsteps. What I found was inspiring, a community that cares deeply about this town and one another. But I learned something else important. Much of what we cherish about Melbourne Beach is fragile. Our peaceful neighborhoods, canopy trees, and our connection to the river and sea. Once diminished, these treasured assets cannot be easily restored. This realization drove me to get involved. I began working with neighbors and town leaders to turn concerns into solutions. I recently co-authored the significantly improved vacation rental ordinances to maintain neighborhood peace. I serve as the chair of the Town Technology Advisory Board, the vice chair of the Charter Review Committee, and as a member of the Brevard County Save Our Indian River Lagoon Citizens Oversight Committee, where I work to restore the ecosystems that define our coastal way of life. Beyond our town, I also volunteer in charities supporting veterans, because service does not end when the uniform comes off. This work has been rewarding, and it's delivering real results, but much more remains to be done to protect our town's heart and soul. Across my career of service, I've learned one truth. We only serve the things we love, because service is love made visible. I love this town, and I want to serve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate is Sherry Quarry.
Welcome. I agree. It's a very nice turnout. I'm Sherry Quarry. I was your commissioner for 8 years. Prior to that, I was on planning and zoning for 14. I've had the opportunity to serve all of you and also the new families that have been bringing their children to our parks and living here, moving here, which I find inspiring. I think that the fire department has been the biggest challenge in the last couple of years. I remember way back, we did a $100,000 loan so that we could have our volunteer firefighters stick with us to help our citizens with safety. I've also been very involved with the police department to make sure that we have enough officers. I was the one that pushed for 2 officers and got 1, which is being paid for out of the parking revenue, which I implemented. And I think that what I've done over the years is I've tried to find ways to bring money to the town and not have it come out of your pockets. And I think that that's still a challenge that I'm ready to accept, that I'm ready to again win at, and I think that I can continue this and do a good job. Thank you. And I'm not going to have you hold up the stop sign.
Gary. And our next candidate will be Steve Walters.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending tonight. I was born in Washington, D.C., and we moved to mid-Michigan when I was a child. In 1967, I joined the United States Army Special Forces, and I had hoped to become a Green Beret. But unfortunately, when I finished my jump training, they put us on a plane for Vietnam. I spent a year in Vietnam. I came back. I'm married. I have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. The youngest is 6 and the oldest is 30. So the 6-year-old is a great deal of fun. I arrived in Melbourne Beach in 1978, and I took the civil service exam. It was a federal civil service exam, and it was a tough exam, but I passed it. I had my choice because I had 8 years previous experience in a community in Melbourne Beach as a police officer, so I had my choice of departments. I decided that I wanted to choose Melbourne Beach. And why? Because of the way the people treated us. They treated their police officers like they were special. I'd never experienced that before. So I stayed in Melbourne Beach, worked my way up through the ranks, became police chief for 13 years, and I retired to resign. I resigned to retire, and then ran for town commission. 3 months later, I was elected to the town commission. I've served about 7 years or so, haven't served since 2017, and I think I did a good job for you. I think all of you that got my flyer today could see what was accomplished when you have a cohesive town commission. So I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I just got the 20-second warning. Appreciate it.
Thank you. That finishes our opening statements, and I'll begin with Bruce Larson with the first question. The town council seat is a 3-year term. What would you like to see different at the end of your term in Melbourne Beach?
Okay. The commissioner's role is to set policies and define priorities and ensure accountability. I think all of those things have been attempted in the past, and none of them really realized. So when my campaign talks about town first, I want to see town commission priorities be set with only the town's best interest in heart for the long-term sustainability of the town, and with actual results that we can deliver and measure, so you can see the actual outcome of the investments. So and when I talk about what I want to see 3 years from now, of course we need to be operating in a civil manner, but that's easy. We all just need to follow the rules. What we need to be doing in 3 years from now is be operating effectively, efficiently, and sustainably.
Thank you. Sherry Quarry, could you respond to the same question? The town council seat is a 3-year term. What would you like to see different at the end of your term?
I don't know that I am focused on change. I think that what we have here is a community that has been in a bubble. We're safe. We're not having a lot of the problems that is happening around us in the United States, even in Brevard County. So I would like to keep our town safe, viable. I love it whenever we have a playground full of children. I want to have their safety, the family's safety. I want that to continue to be a priority. And I'm hoping that at the end of 3 years that everybody is feeling that it's a great place to still live, and families, young families, are coming and they want to be here. I think that it's a very viable town, and we need to stop it that way, or continue it. You threw me with the stop sign.
Thank you. Mr. Walters, would you address the same question? It is, what would you like to see different at the end of your 3-year term in Melbourne Beach?
In the last 25 years, I've attended 95% of our town commission meetings. When I was on the commission, I attended 100% of them. What I would really like to see is peace and harmony in our commission. You have the ability to elect 4 people, like-minded people, to serve your community. I don't want to see people jumping up and screaming, yelling, having to be escorted out of the commission meeting. This isn't Melbourne Beach. Melbourne Beach has us up here to do one thing and one thing only. Take care of your business and do it in a professional manner. And I think if you elect the right people, that's what you're going to have. So thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Cronin, what would you like to see different after the end of your term and in the Melbourne Beach Council?
Well, one of the most important things that's going to happen if I'm elected to be your commissioner is that we are going to have to develop a comprehensive plan that is by Florida statute done every 10 years. So it's important that we're going to do that, make sure that the future of our town is on the right track, something that serves our citizens. And really, I'd rather we focus mostly on hurricane preparedness and making sure that our town is safe. I do echo what Steve Walters said about civility. I think it would be great if our town commission and the government of our town was run in a very civil manner so that we could attract the best people to work for us, and that the culture of work at our town government was a robust one and one where people were happy to work there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And the next question will be we'll begin with Sherry Quarry. And a prominent issue in coastal municipalities is the existence of short-term rentals in residential neighborhoods. What are your ideas for balancing the property needs of full-time residents with the rights of property owners to derive income from their properties?
I think that short-term rentals are a plague across the country. It was never addressed. When in 2020 I put together the very first ordinance that is what everyone is now improving upon, and I think that it's a shame. It's a shame that people feel the need to go outside of their hometown and buy a property and turn it into a short-term rental and make it obnoxious with loudness and not really having a vested interest in the community. And I will continue to fight for that as I did in 2020. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Walters, your turn. The question is, a prominent issue in coastal municipalities is the existence of short-term rentals. What are your ideas on balancing the property needs of full-time residents with the rights of property owners to secure income from their properties?
Well, I think the first thing we can do is stop taxing the residents out of their homes. I'm not a fan of short-term rentals, mainly because we don't know who's in our neighborhood from day to day. We don't know if they're criminals. We don't know who they are. And having lived across the street from a heroin addict home with 8 heroin addicts, I can tell you it's not a pleasant thing to be in. Now, the police did everything they could, but they couldn't stop them. I don't believe that we need short-term rentals, any more short-term rentals for 4. Now, the state of Florida in 2011 took away our right to restrict short-term rentals, and we did that. In 2014, the state came in and said, okay, well, you can regulate them, and they're doing that, thanks to Mayor Dennington. And thank you.
Dr. Cronin? The same question. What are your ideas for balancing the property needs of full-time residents with the rights of property owners to secure income from their properties?
So I've been going around the neighborhoods, knocking on doors and asking residents this very question. What can we do? What should be done? And many of our citizens feel impotent because they complain to the town, and they say that something needs to be done, and nothing ever is done. And yet we have regulations on the books for noise, for disruption, for parking, and there's ways that we could enforce our regulations better. It touches on what I said earlier. Sometimes we're losing town employees who would regulate this. Our regulation officers leave because they don't like the culture of our town, and they leave the environment and quit. You know, we only keep them for a few months, and they leave. And so we don't have the people enforcing the regulations. And so our townspeople feel impotent because we're not enforcing our regulations. So I would hope that we could enforce them better. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Larson. And Bruce Larson, you're next. So a prominent issue is the existence of short-term rentals. What are your ideas for balancing the property needs with the rights of property owners to secure income from their properties?
Sure. 2 or 3 different issues there. First and foremost, though, the rights of property owners that are full-time residents versus property owners who want to rent out their properties. And I think that in that case, the town should always err on the side of the full-time resident. That's the greatest impact to the quality of life. Vacation rentals may be mandated by the state, but we must regulate them appropriately and be strictly enforcing those regulations. We must to match the character of the community, and that's really the trick, is crafting the regulations in a way that we can maintain the quality of life we have and want to keep, yet maximizing the amount of restrictions to within the boundaries of the law. We have brand new ordinances this year. I co-authored those. They were vastly improved off of the 2020 regulations as those were relatively inadequate. Our new regulations are just not being enforced. So the current issue isn't the law, it's enforcement. And we need to urgently issue active monitoring and consent citations. And that's my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. The next question will be for you, Mr. Walters. I'm going to have a little preface to this. This is a question from a visually impaired citizen of Melbourne Beach, and it refers to the crossing of Ocean Avenue and A1A. And if you press the pedestrian button, it stops all of the traffic. As a visually impaired person, it is not safe because visually impaired people use parallel traffic movement to guide their crossing. The question is, how would you implement safer travel for all pedestrians in Melbourne Beach?
Well, that's a tough question, a great question. And I think that we should do whatever we can do to afford the disabled a chance to cross their own street in their homes. And I think that we should, I've had this before, and I think that we should put the crosswalks, I've had a couple of requests to put them up on Sunset and on 3rd. So I think it'd be a good thing for the residents. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it costs that much money. So we could put another stop in there so that everybody can cross. I have one place to cross. That makes it easy. But what I see when I'm driving is when there's people crossing the road, the other people coming north and south, they stop. 99% of the time they stop. I know I do, or my wife does. I know most of you do. So they get across safely. We've never had a fatality crossing that road. We've never had a major accident crossing that road. So if the people want it, that's what we should do.
Thank you. Dr. Cronin, you're next.
I certainly think that we should keep our visually impaired safe, but you bring up an interesting point because I believe the road out there is regulated by the Florida Department of Transportation. So the town of Melbourne Beach really has to be able to integrate well with the Florida Department of Transportation and make sure that the relationships with these other government agencies are in place so that we can work with them and make sure that our visually impaired are treated properly and also protected. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Larson?
Thank you. Yeah, I think that every resident, regardless of physical ability or challenge, needs to be able to use the town to their fullest extent. That's a perfect example, and Dr. Cronin brings up a perfect issue of we need to include all of the stakeholders when we're considering how to solve these challenges. It's not just the town, it's larger than that. But we shouldn't expect that we have all the answers internal to our own staff. We should reach out and find those best practices. There's no chance that this is the first city that's come up against such an issue. Go find some best practices as somebody else has been doing it. Find the right ways to study the metrics of what the volume of traffic is and implement the solutions. They have to be made a priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Ms. Gorey, you are next.
I think that anyone that is disabled deserves to be enriched with mobility, whatever their disability is, throughout our town, and that we really need to advocate for that because I believe that in the past we've just kind of been making sure that our ramps are okay and that our sidewalks don't have any bumps in them, and I think that that's a good start, but it needs to go much further than that because of other disabilities that are being welcomed into our town. We need to be prepared for that. And I think there are grants that we can go for that will help us pay for that so that all of our citizens can have safe mobility throughout our town. It definitely is a priority. And as I said, as Dr. Cronin said, we have no control over A1A because it is a federal highway. But we can interact with them and try to work with them to get grants so that we can make that a much better intersection. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question will begin with Dr. Cronin. Concerns about taxes in Melbourne Beach make it seem that we have big projects coming up: fire, stormwater, road repairs. How would you balance services we need based on increasing cost in today's world?
You know, I've been studying the budget, and one of the things that the town makes its money on is something called the millage rate. And we are the third lowest millage rate in the county, only behind West Melbourne and Cape Canaveral. And West Melbourne makes their money basically on all their commercial buildings, and Cape Canaveral makes their money on all their hotels. So we have a very low millage rate for our town. And I think that's what makes Melbourne Beach wonderful. We are tremendous value, we're a beautiful town, and we want to keep our taxes low. The idea of raising taxes really is anathema to my candidacy. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. How do you balance services we need based on increasing costs in today's world?
Sure. All right, so millage is not the story. Millage is very commonly referred by many a politician, but if you'll listen to the Florida Chief Financial Officer, he'll tell you in his recent video last week from Jacksonville saying that millage is not the answer. That is a component of how to calculate the amount of money we pay in property taxes, but it's the result of the process of developing the budget. The budget is what drives taxes, and we need to manage our budget first and foremost. The recently approved town budget lacks transparency and long-term planning. It has no measurable outcomes. Year after year, we approve spending without clear goals or ways to evaluate results. And that's not governance, that's just guesswork. As your commissioner, I'll apply the same discipline I gained from decades of experience in managing budgets in the private sector and government sector to bring some balance to our town in our sustainability and our finances. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Ms. Quarry, for you, how do you balance services we need based on increasing costs in today's world?
I think that the biggest part of our budget, which is a little over $5 million, is fire, and which is about $1 million, and police, which is probably the biggest section as far as money. I believe it's about 1.6 of our budget. They have to have certain things, certain supplies, in order to protect the community. And I really believe that, and I'll probably sound like a broken record, but it's extremely important, we need to bring in money so that the millage rate or the tax, whatever you're feeling in your budget at home, is alleviated through grants. There's a ton of grants out there for the police, the fire, and I really think that if we concentrate only on needs and not wants in the other departments, that we'll be able to maintain our budgets as low as we've kept them. Thank you.
Mr. Walters, how do you balance services we need based on increasing costs in today's world?
I'll tell you what is, and that is in the last 5.5 years, your town taxes have gone up 60%. And I think that, as Ms. Quarry stated, that we should be spending money on what we need, not what we want. We don't need any more employees. We had 26, now in 5.5 years we have 35. Where's that money coming from? Taxing you. I think we need to do a better job in our budget and ensure that it's fair. You can talk all you want about low millage rate, but when you get that tax bill on top of what the county charges us and on top of your assessed value, we're putting our people, especially our elderly people who built this community, we're forcing them out of their homes. That's not right. And I think it needs to change.
Thank you. The next question will go first to Bruce Larson. What is your solution to our stormwater drainage situation? It's apparent that it needs repair.
All right, stormwater. It's going to be a perennial discussion point for any coastal community. It won't ever go away. We're always going to have it. The challenge is we have to pay attention to it every year. Kind of like a haircut. If you don't visit the barber for a really long time, you're going to have a problem. Same thing here. We absolutely need to be doing something every year for our stormwater systems, plural. They're divided into basins for drainage, and all of it dumps into the lagoon. So we need to be investing in it every year and continue through with that. We have taken many years off of investing in it, but one thing we're really missing is we don't have a single plan that says what is the total challenge, what's the total scope of work, and how much is that going to cost for all of the town. To rank that in a priority order so that citizens understand that their neighborhood is number 3 on the list or whatever that is, and that's going to happen in 2 years. Without that expectation, they're just flying blind and concerned that nothing is ever getting done.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Ms. Quarry, what is your solution to the stormwater drainage situation?
We are on a barrier island, and the water doesn't have a lot of places to go. We've had a stormwater plan. We had it probably 15 years ago. The problem is the pipes under our streets are from the 50s and the 60s. So every time we put into a place, going to repair something, something else will break. So we only have a fixed amount of money. So if you've got something that is still functioning and somebody's road in front of their house is caved in, you have to go and take care of that emergency situation. And then there goes most of the money. The prices keep going up and up and up for these repairs, and it's very difficult to try to keep up with it. It's like whack-a-mole. You get one pipe fixed, and another pipe at the other end of it collapses, or the connections collapse. We just have to keep working at it, and we have to keep putting the money aside and fixing it. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Cronin? I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm sorry, Mr. Walters.
A few years ago, the town of Melbourne Beach residents passed a bond for $5 million. They voted on this, and they voted in affirmative. We received a $3 million grant from the state or federal government or both, and we used that money to fix some storm drains and pave some streets. And my biggest complaint now is, and not really a complaint, it's just I don't know what we're doing with our stormwater money. It's being used for other things other than stormwater repair. You're being taxed still, even though the bond's probably paid now, but you're still being taxed for your stormwater. And I think that we can do better in doing that and having the money used for stormwater, not for anything else. If that's what we have it for, that's what it should be spent on. And that's what I intend to do, make sure we have money, we have revenue, but we're not using it for what we should be using it for what the people voted on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cronin.
So I was preparing for this presentation and reading a lot about what we do for stormwater in Melbourne Beach. And one of the things that I found interesting, there was a nice feature article in Space Coast Living that talked about the swales and the ribbon curbing that we have on Orange Street and how that was an improvement over some of the subterranean infrastructure that is falling apart. And what swales do is it actually percolates the sediment and all the impurities into the soil so that when runoff goes into the river, it doesn't have all the pollutants in it, the nitrogen, the phosphorus. All these things are limited by swales. So swales and using ribbon curbing and other things like that have been used in Melbourne Beach and actually used as a model for others to look at. So I think that's kind of cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next first person for the next question will be Ms. Quarry. What is your position on the firefighter issue? Paid versus volunteered? Should there be a referendum? Should we use county services instead?
Well, thank you for that question, because that really has been a subject that I have delved into deeply. I support the hybrid model for the fire department. And I believe that we cannot let our fire department go. We've got to support it. Some people say, well, let's just keep it the way it was. It's not possible to keep it an all-volunteer fire department. That model does not work. It doesn't work nationally, and it doesn't work in our community because we don't have any firefighters that can get here in a timely fashion. The one thing that I did is I came up with a website where you can go in and you can figure out what losing our fire department would actually cost you. I've figured out a formula that shows for 6 paid firefighters, and even with 6, going to the county would cost every resident more money.
Thank you. Mr. Walters, I'm going to read the question again because it's complicated. What is your position on the firefighter issue? Paid versus volunteer? Should there be a referendum? And should we use county services instead?
I think it's up to the residents of Melbourne Beach to make that decision, not 3 people up here on the town commission as it currently is. Now, I like our fire department just like it is. They say they can't sustain the volunteers, and yet we have 32. They say we need 6 to 8 more people. But the truth is, and I'm not calling them, the truth is that it takes 4 people to enter a burning building. Now, we have one of those about every 5 years. And for the 52 calls they responded to this year, they didn't need to respond to 51 if it wasn't an automatic call out. The police arrive in 2 minutes. If there's a fire, they notify the fire department, and they're there. They come. So I believe that you should vote, not 3 members of the town commission. And right now we have 3 members of the town commission don't want you to vote, which will cost you anywhere from $500 to $1,000 the first year, and then more after that.
Thank you. I'll repeat the question for Dr. Cronin. What is your position on the firefighter issue? Paid versus volunteer? Should there be a referendum, or should we use county services instead?
So I think Sherry pointed out that it would cost more to go to the county, to use the county services. We would get less from the county, and it would cost us more. And the interesting thing about that is it would cost you more and the town less. It would save the town money. Maybe our budget would look better, but each individual person living in Melbourne Beach would have to pay more to the county. So I really don't support going to the county. I think we need to support our fire department and make sure that they are robust and strong any way we can. I trust the fire chief when he says he has a hard time getting volunteers. When they tell us that half of the volunteers live on the other side of the bridge, we know we're at a breaking point. All right, and I've been, like I said, I've been knocking on doors, meeting people, and I run into some young people and really strong-looking, buff guys, and I say, you know, you should join the fire department. And they tell me they're working 2 jobs already because the economy is the way it is, and they don't have the time to do it, even though they'd love to do it. So I think we have to support them. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll repeat the question one more time for Bruce Larson. What is your position on the firefighter issue? Paid versus volunteer? Should there be a referendum? And should we use county services instead?
So our Melbourne Beach Volunteer Fire Department is one of our town's most valued institutions. We're very proud of it, and we should be. It has been a cornerstone since I was a kid growing up here and long before that. Recent initiatives to enhance the department have focused on strengthening readiness, modernizing equipment, and improving staffing to get up to the modern demands of our town. And I think that it is part and parcel not only the demand of how many fires we have, but also the regulatory environment has changed. Safety rules and a variety of things have changed, so it's not the same as it was 20 years ago. But improvement isn't just about funding. It's about planning and sustainability. We must align our fire services with the standards that we set as a town, not just not to invest blindly. Setting those standards is the most important thing we can do. We haven't done that yet, so we don't actually know what it's going to take to achieve a goal because we haven't set a goal. Once we do that and say that at a certain amount of time, then the fire chief will be able to say, here's the resources he needs to meet that goal.
Thank you. This next question will go first to Mr. Walters. Excuse me. What can be done to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the working relationship with the town manager and commission?
Well, we have a new town manager now, and the commission currently on the dais, they selected her. I haven't met her yet. I intend to, and I hope that she's as professional as she seems. I hope that she will look at things and say, wow, we don't need that. Don't bring it to the town commission to be the bad guys, because they'll always say yes, generally speaking. And do your job. Keep good professional people employed. And I have to wait and hold a conference with her or talk with her in order to determine. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Cronin, what can be done to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the working relationship between the town manager and the commission?
Well, one of the reasons I'm running is I do want to improve civility in the town commission, how we interact with our employees, how we interact in town government. And I was very pleased at the last commission meeting that they voted to institute a pledge to civility. But I do think that if that is a priority going forward, that we treat each other professionally, that we treat each other as neighbors, first and foremost, we are going to have the most wonderful government in our town, and we're going to be able to attract the best people to work for us because they know this is a wonderful, supportive community. Thank you.
Mr. Larson? What can be done to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the working relationship between the town manager and the commission?
I agree with several aspects that Dr. Cronin has just mentioned, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper than that. For me, it starts with trust. I think that is the core of our challenge that we're facing in town when we talk about the relationships between staff, the commission, and the residents. Commissioners need to earn the residents' trust. It's not given, and you can't buy it. We have to earn it. And so as a commissioner, I want to prove that we can deliver results and act in an adult manner. Trust is built on a foundation of respect. Respect for the process, and above all, respect for one another. Leadership must model the behavior it expects from others. So we have to lead by examples. Being up here on the dais, as a commissioner, we have to set the standard we want everybody else to follow. Follow the rules and treat each other with respect. Deliver results, and then we can earn trust.
Thank you. Ms. Gwory, again, what can be done to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the working relationship between the town manager and the commission?
The town manager is in charge of every employee, not the commission. The hierarchy is the town manager functions as the boss of everybody and then reports to the commission. The commission should not be going into departments and speaking to department heads and trying to find out or meddle in what they're doing. They are supposed to report to the town manager. It is up to the commission to hire the best town manager for that position so that they can do the best job for you, because they're paid over $100,000 a year plus benefits. They need to be in control of the employees, not the commission. Thank you.
Did I get you on this question, Mr. Walters? I'm sorry, I can't read my own graph here. So this is the question number 2, and this question should go to Mr. Larson, correct, first.
Okay, Steve was first. Steve was first last time.
Yeah, I think it's Dr. Cronin next.
Dr. Cronin? I'm happy to go. Okay, let's start with Dr. Cronin. What is your plan to return decorum to town meetings?
Well, I think a pledge for civility is the first step toward improving decorum. If we make this a priority, that we treat each other as neighbors, that we are a community of neighbors who really want to work together to make sure our town is the very best. And, you know, I think some of the things that make it difficult are things like Nextdoor and other things where people are keyboard warriors and say nasty things and feel like there's no repercussions. You know, we're a pretty small town. Everybody knows everybody and knows a little things about everybody else. And I think if we celebrate that, rather than try to denigrate that, we can kind of bring the town a little bit closer together so that we work together to make our town better. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Larson, same question. What is your plan to return decorum to the town meeting?
Yeah, so I think that's actually a logical follow-on from the last question, and my answer is going to be very much similar. Until we have trust between each other, between commissioners, trust between commissioners and staff, and trust between and earning the trust of the residents. When that happens, then we can actually make progress. Until then, to bring decorum, I think that we can have civility pledges, and we can have rules, and we can have Robert's rules. Those things are all fine, but we have to follow them. When I started school in 3rd grade, you had to raise your hand before you talked, and the teacher would recognize you. Similar, and those were rules. We followed them, and everything got along and was efficient. We need to start obeying our own rules, residents and commission alike.
Thank you. Ms. Quarry, same question to you. What is your plan to return decorum to the town meetings?
I think that the biggest reason why there's not a lot of civility on the commission is that there's not a strong understanding of Robert's rules. When you follow Robert's Rules of Order, I think that really puts everybody in the right mindset of how they should treat their position. And then all treatment of others is going to follow through. I think that we're all here to serve the town and to make sure that our town is the best that it can be. And if everyone is trying to make it the best and having decorum, we'll just follow suit. Because when you're all working together for the betterment of the town, you can't really have disagreements that are outlandish. You might want to express your opinion, but you're not going to be getting all up in somebody's face over anything, because you all want the betterment of the town. At least that's all I've ever done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Walters, what is your plan to return decorum to the town meeting?
I agree with all 3 of the candidates. Trust and respect. You shouldn't be sitting up here and getting angry because someone doesn't vote the way you vote. You shouldn't be slamming the desk. People in the audience shouldn't be yelling and hollering at you. Decorum, respect, follow our rules. We have a policy, civility policy. We have adopted Robert's Rules of Order. The Town Commission has their own guide. We need to be respectful. We need to treat people like they're meaningful, not like that has been done here in the past. This is for you, for all of you. And who you select on November 4th, you have the ability to change everything. Or you can have 3 more years of the same. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question will go to Mr. Larson first. There are 3 pending lawsuits against the town of Melbourne Beach. What are your views on how these lawsuits should be settled?
All right, so we're still on. So we have lawsuits pending. That's a fact. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not privy to the internal communications about those lawsuits. I know the same thing that the rest of the public knows. I believe that everybody has the right to petition the court, and that can't be taken away. That's guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. It's up to a judge to determine right and wrong and who wins. Also, a judge would be determining whether there was merit and cut it off at its knees and not continue forward. But in the case here, we are sitting. If we haven't had an injury, we haven't had significant financial impacts. We have the ability, I think, for parties to sit down and talk through the issues. What is the real goal? Is it monetary, or is it cleaner ordinances? Is it an apology, or is it restitution? So I think that settlement processes should progress. We should not have dragged on this long.
Thank you. Ms. Quarry, there are 3 pending lawsuits against the town of Melbourne Beach. What are your views on how these lawsuits should be settled?
I think they should go through the court system. I think that it needs to be settled through the court system. The biggest lawsuit, the Shed case, I was there and sat through all of that, and I was absolutely gobstruck by it. I don't think that anybody on the commission is qualified to reach a settlement of any shape or form. I think it needs to go through the judicial system, and I am not in favor of the terms that were given, and I think it should go through the judicial system and let it be done finally. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. There are 3 pending lawsuits against the town. What are your views on how these should be settled?
Well, the lawsuits are in settlement now. And that's the way you do it. If you file suit against your community, in other words, you're going to go to a judge for a different opinion. When you ask 17 times for a public record that you should have had in 24 hours, only to find out after a year and a half the contract that we were legally required to have, we didn't have. If you have to fight your town manager at every meeting who does things that she shouldn't be doing, then what's your recourse? If you have a complaint, now in this particular case, the Shedd case, the infamous Shedd case, well, the town lawyer, our town lawyer said, you know, Mayor Dennington's correct. And she offered to change it free of charge, but no, we brought the hammer down on her. And we treated her miserably. That's not Melbourne Beach. That's not you. If you have a problem, you come to your commission and we resolve it if we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Cronin, there are 3 pending lawsuits against the town of Melbourne Beach. What are your views on how to settle these suits?
Well, it's a hard thing to answer, but I guess the look is so strange. It seems like our mayor is in conflict with herself. And I think that she has to come up with a way to abide by some resolution that she's happy with, and that the town can be happy with. As you lead our town and you sue the town, it doesn't make sense to me, and I haven't delved into it enough to really make a judgment in regard to this, but it does seem like we're in conflict with ourselves. Thanks.
Thank you. This first question will go first to Ms. Quarry. If you could change one thing in our zoning code, what would it be and why?
I think that our tree ordinance in our zoning codes is not strong enough. Over the years, I know that we have tried to make it strong. One of the town's biggest assets is our oak trees. But if somebody has a beautiful oak tree and they deem that it is going to fall on their house, the new rules are that they have the right to protect their property and to cut that down. I don't know what should be done now. We had a very strong anti-lot clearing, but yet we had a couple of lots that were clear-cut before they built a house. So there clearly has to be more done. That would be the one thing. I feel like our other ordinances in our development codes are very strong, and with this, especially with the water retention. But our trees are our greatest asset, and we really need to protect them better.
Thank you. Mr. Walters, the same question for you. If you could change one thing in our zoning code, what would it be and why?
I would ask the state of Florida to quit butting into our business. I'd ask the state of Florida to rescind the ability to restrict vacation rentals in the residential area. Years ago, we made it one place and one place only, the commercial district. That's only why we have vacation rentals, and now the state said, no, you can't restrict them. So we regulate them. Most of the people that are vacation rental people that have guests come, those people are fine, 90% of them. But I don't want the ones that aren't, the other 10% around our children. I don't want them around our community. There's a lot of people coming in here, renting the vacation rentals, and we don't know who they are. We don't know what they've done. We don't know what they will do. So that one thing would be to restrict the state of Florida from telling us what's best for our community.
Michael, could you repeat the question?
If you could change If you could change one thing in our zoning code, what would it be and why?
Well, I was looking at the town's charter, and in 1980, we decided that we wanted to keep Melbourne Beach a residential community. So I think I would have to agree that if we could change the short-term rental regulations and zonings, that would be the best thing to return us to that strictly residential community that our town forefathers envisioned for our town. This has been a change in the wrong direction. We do not have control over the state, so it may be pie in the sky to think that we could change it. But we do have the ability to enforce regulations. And I do want to make sure that we enforce those regulations. And if I'm honored to serve you, that's going to be a priority of mine to make sure that we enforce these regulations so that people don't feel impotent about this any longer. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Larson, the same question. If you could change one thing in our zoning code, what would it be and why?
Well, I think that Mr. Walters and Ms. Quarry have already covered the two most important things, short-term rentals and our environmental controls, especially around trees. Short-term rentals is already underway, so I'm going to pick the Environmental Advisory Board and their work on the tree ordinances that we're looking at right now. Those are the things that we don't have in place adequately today and need to. When we cut down an oak tree, it's more than a generation before it recovers. So these aren't something that we can just buy and replace. That's, I think, the most important thing for me. And it not only is the look and feel of our town, but it really is the health of our town and our lagoon.
Thank you. And this will be our last question before the closing statements. And the first person I'll address this question to is Mr. Walters. How many times in the last year have you attended town hall meetings?
Every town commission meeting. I've attended town commission meetings for 25 years, and I've attended 95% of them when I wasn't on the commission, and 100% of them when I was.
And Dr. Cronin, the same question for you. How many times in the last year have you attended town hall meetings?
I've probably attended a handful, and I haven't been involved in the town government. I stepped up because I saw a problem of the way the town government has been operating, and I wanted to make a difference. I have a wonderful life living in Melbourne Beach, and it's a great place, and I feel like if I can serve our town to make sure that our town is better, I could step up and do this. Now, like I told you, I've been knocking on doors and meeting people, and one of the people I met said, you know, Dr. Cronin, you're a pretty smart guy, or at least I thought you were until you got into politics. So that being said, I do have some skills that I think I can offer our town. As I mentioned, I was the president of the American Academy of Dermatology. I was the chair of their board. I do work in Robert's Rules very well. I know how they work. And I have a really good-natured, positive attitude. So I hope to bring that to the town. Thank you so much.
Mr. Larson, same question. How many times in the last year have you attended town hall meetings?
So I don't know that that's a countable number as how many meetings we've had. So I wouldn't know exactly how many I've missed other than unless I'm out of town or ill, I make it a point to be at every meeting. And that's not just the commission. I attend many of the advisory board meetings as well. So almost all of them.
Thank you. And Ms. Quarry, this is the same question for you. How many times in the last year?
I think I've missed maybe 4 meetings, but I watched them at home on YouTube. I find it's very convenient. The accessibility, having it on YouTube, means that you can keep up with everything. So when I had to miss about 4 meetings, I found it very handy. And I'd like to say that it was while I was on commission that we really fought hard to get that so that you could watch the meetings if you weren't able to be in the building, so that you could watch them on YouTube or watch them whenever you wanted. They didn't have to be right then and there that you watched them. 8 years of meetings, I never missed one. So in the last year, I haven't missed any. I've watched them, but I haven't been in the chairs, which, by the way, we just got new comfortable chairs, which is a big asset, so thank you.
Thank you very much, and that will finish with the questions from the voters of Melbourne Beach. And we now will have time for 1 minute closing arguments. And for this, we will start with Mr. Walters.
Forgive me if I read this. I only have a minute or so. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe this community is at a crossroad. On November 4th, you will elect 2 people to your town commission. You can have 3 more years of the same, or you can change everything. If you elect Bruce and I, you will create a supermajority on the town commission of like-minded individuals whose goal is to preserve Melbourne Beach, lower taxes, and work with you to keep our town a special place to live. You will have a supermajority in a good way. To me, good leadership is about honesty, integrity, accountability, and a person who thinks about what they can give rather than what they can get. As importantly, a leader gets results, a good leader. I ask that before you select your next commission on November 4th, that you stop just for a minute or so and reflect on those 4 names on the ballot. Ask yourself, who are the 2 people on that ballot that have the time, energy, commitment, knowledge, and dedication to preserving the town of Melbourne Beach? I leave it to your good judgment.
Thank you. Ms. Quarry, you would be next, please.
I'll go in reverse.
We're going backwards this time. Put you up first.
Well, I hope that you've been satisfied with the years that I've dedicated to the town and the leadership. I am not in it for myself. I'm in it for you. I'm in it for my town. And I really believe that having 2 people aligned with the mayor is maybe not in your best interest. That's not going to happen with me. I'm going to be aligned with you. I'm going to do what is the best for you. I'm not going to do what's the best for someone that's already got another year. You are my focus. The town is my focus. Nothing else matters. And I will do everything as I have in the past to make sure that you are well served, and I hope that you will vote for me. If you're not happy with what I've done, please discuss it with me so I can better myself to serve you better in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce Larson, please, next.
Thank you. Melbourne Beach is more than just where we live. It's part of who we are. What we have is special, but also fragile. Once lost, its beauty and spirit can't be easily restored. Having served our nation in both combat and in the private sector, I've learned that authentic leadership involves anticipating challenges, carefully planning, and bringing people together for lasting solutions. I want to use those same skills here at home to protect what defines Melbourne Beach and ensure our community stays strong, welcoming, resilient, and open for generations to come. Thank you. I ask for your trust, your partnership, and your vote to keep Melbourne Beach strong and united.
Thank you. Dr. Cronin.
Thank you all for the opportunity to speak with you tonight, for coming out and listening to all the candidates. It's been a real honor to be up here with everyone and talk about these issues and see where everybody lays on these issues. I did want to say to you that I'm running to represent you. And when I go out and I knock on your door, I'm leaving my phone number with you because I want you to be able to call me. And people say, oh, what doctor giving me their phone number? What, is he crazy? No, because Melbourne Beach is Melbourne Beach and everybody can call me if they have a problem. I'm open to that. That's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it to represent you and to bring civility to our town government and therefore bring stability to our town government. So thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank everyone who came today. Let's have an applause for the candidates.
Thank you for that applause for our candidates. I think I say this pretty much every time we do a forum. I think it's really brave. I think you all are very brave to come up here and put yourselves out there and your questions and your responses out there for the townspeople. I also thank the audience. You guys were wonderful. I think I looked at one person once, but you were wonderful. You followed all the rules and you were very respectful, and I really, really appreciate that. I do want to say we have a website called vote411.org, and I believe all 4 of the candidates have responded. It's a website that we maintain for the League of Women Voters, and it has candidates' responses to questions that we ask them verbatim. We don't edit it in any way. We cut and paste their answer directly in. So if you have more questions about some of the things that were asked today, or unfortunately your question wasn't asked today, you can go to vote411.org and get more information about the candidates. I do want to say quickly, if we didn't ask your question, then I apologize. There were so many, and there's so many good ones, and some kind of jived with others. So we tried our best to get the questions or the topics out there that you wanted to hear about. And finally, after I say have a good evening, go out and vote on November 4th, or do your mail-in ballot as soon as you can. But it needs to be there by November 4th, and I hope that you all vote. Thank you very much for attending.